All right, Shalom. Before I start, I like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Baruch Kudash. I'd like to say double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and the elders of Great Millstone, the men whom I've learned this truth from, and also Shalom and salutations to the elect that's out there preaching this word in truth and sincerity. All right, I'm the brother Shaqua from the branch of Great Millstone, Montreal. Out here once again with another real quick lesson. And this lesson that I'm going to be getting into today is going to be short and Lord willing to the point. But I'm just basically going to be going into, how that the truth, you know, um, cannot be compared to any doctrine or philosophy or any so-called wisdom of this world, right? But really what I mainly want to focus on is this Kemet thing, right? Because I know somebody that's all of a sudden, awoken to, not awoken, but enlightened, has, became enlightened to that Kemet thing, which that's a false philosophy. I'm not really well versed in it. I'm not familiar with it because it's not the truth, so I don't really, pay attention to it. But this person has brought it to my attention, and it's something that I might do, a short look into it, a short study session on, just to kind of get a feel for what it is. But what I've gleaned from it so far is that, I noticed that they have a heavy spirit or emphasis on, they put a heavy emphasis on basically the pyramids and the history, the past, right? That's what they put a heavy emphasis on, or, the person that I know that's into that, he puts a heavy emphasis on the past, right? But the past is the past, not saying that, the past is not something to remember or you can glean things out from the past. But if that's your whole rallying cry, what about the present and the future? What about prophecy, things that are going to happen in the future, dealing with what's the future, right? But me just seeing him harp on the past, and not even dealing with the present or the future, basically goes to show that, once again, the truth, the Bible, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Bashim Ashai reigns supreme. Why? Because it does not just deal with the past, but it deals with the present and the future. It covers all spectrums, right? So any question that's asked on why certain things are happening and what the solution for them are could be answered in the scriptures for the most part, right? Dealing with major things, like for example, what's the future of the so-called white man? What's the future of America? What's the future of the world? What's the future of the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Or what's the future, what's going to happen to these different nations on the earth, right? All those answers could be answered in the scriptures, right? And that's what makes the scriptures the most powerful book when handled and interpreted the right way. All right, so let's go from there to the book of 2 Peter 1 and verse 19. It says, we have also a more sure word of prophecy, right? So that's the emphasis. Our what makes our word firm and sure is the fact that there's prophecies. It contains prophecies, man, and no book no other book contains prophecies like the scriptures does, right? Which goes to show you that that's the book that the Lord is dealing with. All right. It says, "Whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn, and the day star arise in your hearts." Right. So the scriptures, what sets it apart from any other doctrine, teaching, philosophy, or so-called wisdom, is prophecy. That's what sets it apart, right? So let's go from there to the book of Revelation. Matter of fact, before I get that, let's get Isaiah 34 and verse 16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord Yahweh, and read." That's the book of the Lord, the Bible. No one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate. For my mouth it had commanded, and his spirit it had gathered them. Right. So the scriptures, the Holy Bible, is the book that the Lord is dealing with. All right. No other book. And it can't be mated with any other form of wisdom or understanding or doctrine or philosophy or other book. It can't be mated. You can't merge them, or you can't try to parallel it, man, because the scriptures is different. Let's go from there to the book of Revelation 19, and I'm going to start at verse 7. It says, "Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his wife has made herself ready." Right? And who's the Lamb here? The Lamb is our Lord Yahushua, right? And the wife would be the elect. This marriage is going into the joining of Yahushua and his elect, the 144,000. Verse 8, "And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints." Right? Because the wife of the Lamb is being prepared in this time now, the time that we are living in. Right? They're being made pure, white, clean, cleansed. Right? They're being purified. And made or being prepared for that wedding to meet Yahushua, right? Verse 9, it says, "And he saith unto me, right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, these are the true sayings of Yahweh." Verse 10, "And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua Hamashiach. Worship Yahweh, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy." Right? So this is how you gauge who is or who has the truth, as if they're prophesying or not, because the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. Right? If you have the testimony of Yahushua, if you claim to have the testimony of Yahushua, you should be prophesying. You should be proclaiming things before they happen. Right? And that also goes to show that you're in the right spirit, man. Not like any of these other philosophies, man. Right? Which are stuck in the past. Hey, so with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to say, call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chakdash. Once again, double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom and salutations to the elect.